Trustee Berg, present.
Trustee Panito, present. We have a quorum.
Yay.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Special Administrative Legal Committee held on May 1st, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Discuss the 2018 surplus equipment ordinance. Dave, do you want to tell us what that's all about?
This is really just our annual ordinance that we have to pass every year, basically where we have to dispose of our surplus equipment by ordinance. Laura, I think we basically just survey the departments, they give you the lists, and it's on the agenda really for next Tuesday. Obviously, a lot of old squad cars mostly, but also
Yeah, the Crown Victorias, huh?
sweeper and some other things. So, I mean, that's really not anything different than what we've done in years past. So,
Do we have like a certain criteria? They've all passed, like the number of mileage and that type of thing?
yeah, Public Works evaluates them. And obviously, when it gets to the point where the maintenance costs start to tip the cost of keeping them is usually when we put these out. So,
So somebody's looking at it, evaluating it.
yeah, down in Public Works, they do there's a numerical score that they do based on
Right, I
previous
kinda
maintenance costs,
remember
age
that.
and mileage, and things like that, so.
Which is like an appraisal of them. So what do they go, so are they under the $1,000 value? Did I read that?
They're over 1,000.
In excess of 1,000. That's
Yeah.
why they're on here. Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Laura.
So what do you need from us on this?
Just a motion to send this to the board for approval at the July 17th.
Ask for a motion to send this to the board for approval on the July 17th meeting.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the
Sure.
electrical aggregation.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more discussion. I'm not sure if we've discussed this, I think probably since you've been on the board we have, but it's, I think most of you are familiar. So back about 8 years ago, the state of Illinois allowed communities essentially to go on the private market for electric power. And at that time, the rates in the market, there was a lot of suppliers that were considerably cheaper than ComEd. So it saved Tinley Park, lots of other towns, really millions of dollars of money. And the residents still got to stay with ComEd in terms of the actual distribution of the power, so it wasn't like people would notice it. So, but the market has changed, and this isn't unexpected. And so our contract's up this year, and we've used Dave Hoover with NYMEC is actually an expert who basically works in kind of pooling these together with a number of towns, and he did the bidding for this year. And so we didn't have the bids where we found anything that was better than ComEd, but we've got kind of a new program that he wants to explain and kind of get your input and review on, and we would need to approve this in July if you guys are okay with it. So Dave, you want to go through this? Yeah. So.
We're going to tag team you here and dazzle you with hours of presentation here. But my name is Dave Hoover. I'm with NYMEC. Had the privilege of working with the village for about 15 years. And again, just a very quick overview. What we're talking about is the electric aggregation program where municipalities can negotiate for lower rates for its residents' home electric bills. Okay, so we've been managing that program for you for about 6 years. It's been a terrific success, and until now, there have been some changes in the pricing parameters for electric suppliers when they're looking at residential load. And as a result, we have about 15% of our customer base where we've gone out to bid, and we've received bids that are higher than ComEd rate. So, so normally at this time, we would be talking to you about how we're going to roll everybody back to ComEd, and everybody will pay the ComEd rate, and we'll just put it in suspense for till next year or the year after that when we can rebid it. But we work with about 5 suppliers in this space, and Chuck Sutton is with MC Squared, and one of our big suppliers. And his company's come up with an option. And I'm going to give you the overview, and I'm going to let him get into some of the details. But the overview is that if we suspend the program, we would roll everybody back to ComEd. Everybody would pay the ComEd rate, and all the ComEd current electricity has 14.5% of the load is renewables. That's mandate. Anybody who sells power in Illinois has to have 14.5% renewable. So in other words, we can roll everybody back, suspend the program, roll everybody back to ComEd, and they would pay the ComEd rate, which would have 14.5% power. Chuck's figured out a way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and we can continue the aggregation program. Everybody pays the ComEd rate, the exact same rate, but we can do it with 100% power, renewable power. So it's a little bit of a rabbit out of a hat, and I'm going to let Chuck kind of walk you through briefly a little bit of how he does that.
Thank you, David. Again, my name is Chuck Sutton with MC Squared. We are a retail electric supplier headquartered in Chicago. We've been in business 10 years, obviously licensed by the Illinois Commerce Commission. Over the last 6 years, we've served roughly over 6 over 60 communities, representing 250,000 residential customers. So we've been doing this for a lot of different communities in the ComEd territory. One of the things, as David mentioned, over the last couple of years is when they first started the aggregation program, the differential between the ComEd tariff and the market was such that there was roughly 20 to 30% savings. There was quite a bit of, if you will, headroom or differential where you could save money, and the residents had a very good bargain from the marketplace. Over the last 3 to 5 years, the marketplace has changed, the supply mix has changed, the pricing has changed, and also the way that the Illinois Power Agency procures the energy is such that the differential between the ComEd tariff, which is set through the auction process, and the supplier market community is very close. So there are some communities based on their load profile that can do better than the ComEd rate. But over the last 3 years, we've seen roughly 1.2 million customers that were on aggregation go back to the ComEd tariff because they couldn't beat the tariff rate. So as David mentioned, some of the communities were under contract, and they go out for an RFP process and they find that they can't have a discernible difference, or the actual rate that they get is higher than the tariff. And the prudent decision is, why would we pay more? So we've developed a program where we can serve everybody in the aggregation community at the same rate as ComEd. So we match the rate, including the monthly adjustment for the purchased electricity adjustment. So there's kind of a true-up every month for over-under deliveries, depending on weather. So every month, ComEd has a tariff, and there's always a little adjustment, plus or minus 0.5 cent. So we've developed a product that will match exactly what the tariff rate is each month. Some of the customers will be served by MC Squared, and some will be served by the ComEd tariff rate, but all will be served at the same rate. With the customers that we're serving, we're able to buy renewable energy certificates equal to 100% of your load, so that you have a green program for all your residents, whether they're served by MC Squared or served by ComEd, but again, all at the same tariff rate. So we match the tariff rates, everyone pays the same. For the customers that we can serve, which is typically around 40 to 60% of the population, we will buy energy in the wholesale market, and where we can, we'll do that and then take the differential and buy the certificate so that you can be a EPA Green Power Partners community. So we've done that with several of David's communities, and we stand ready to help you with that as well. So.
Can you mention maybe some of the communities that you guys have done it, and then your reference to 40 to 60% of the population, what does that mean?
So we've just negotiated and signed an agreement with Clarendon Hills for this program. Yeah, South Barrington we've met with. It's going before their board meeting in July.
Right.
And we're in discussion with several others. So what we do is, let's say I believe the number of residential and small commercial customers in your portfolio is about 24,000 accounts, okay? Of that, I'd estimate that about 4,000 of those accounts are being served by other suppliers or on ComEd's hourly tariff, a special tariff program that they opt into. So when you're doing an aggregation program, David goes out to bid for roughly 20,000 of your accounts that aren't with a different supplier and not with ComEd's hourly program. We then analyze those 20,000 accounts and we look for the right load shape and the right load profile, the consumption patterns by month, by daytime versus nighttime usage, and we realize that we can serve between 40 and 60 of those as MC squared at the ComEd tariff rate.
And if I could just interject, in other words, what they do is they get the customer list and they price out every single residential account. Okay, they price them all out from high to low, and at the ComEd rate, everything from there under, they will serve. Everything from there over, we'll have them at ComEd, and ComEd will serve them at the prevailing rate.
And then we serve that 40 to 60% at the same rate, take the differential in what we can save and pay to get the renewable energy certificates and the administration fees. And that's how we do it. So again, say half. Half of those accounts are served by MC squared, half would be served by ComEd's tariff. But again, we match the ComEd tariff, so everybody's got the same rate, whether they're served by MC squared or ComEd, but we can buy certificates equal to 100% of the population.
And if I can, just so you understand how renewable energy works in the United States, if somebody says they're 100% renewable, there's one of three things that happen. They've either got a windmill on the roof, they've got solar panels on the roof, or they buy renewable energy certificates. So the certificates are regulated by the federal government. They're numbered, they're tracked, and any supplier that says they're supplying green power has to buy those renewable certificates to match the load. So what we're effectively doing, is in this program, is MC squared is going to buy enough of these certificates to cover your entire aggregation community, and therefore you can advertise that as 100% renewable aggregation.
So as a Tinley Park resident, what's in it for me?
You're supporting 100% green renewable as a community. And if somebody doesn't want to do it, they can always opt out. There's no fee to do that. So if somebody gets a letter and says—
Are they opting or opting out?
You would be opting out. So if you get a letter that says MC squared is going to serve you under this program, you can opt out and just stay with ComEd or go to another supplier or do whatever you want.
Can we have them opt in instead?
People can opt in as well, yeah.
I mean, as a village, that would be acceptable to me. Michael, what about you?
Well, I guess.
Yeah, so that's under the program, under the referendum that was passed in 2012, I believe, it authorized you to run an opt-out program. So that's just the mechanics of how the state of Illinois put it together.
Yeah, and they run it, towns do it this way because basically you're trying to get enough of a mass to be in the program. And so, again, but people do get a card and they have the ability to opt out. And my understanding is if they opt out, basically they'll get the same rate.
Yes.
It just won't be the renewable energy.
Yeah.
So
You
in
asked
the old
what-
days, you would save money. Now it's really the benefit is more you're part of this renewable energy program.
But if somebody was with a different supplier and wanted to opt in, they could opt into the program. So I misunderstood the question, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I just am concerned that I don't want to put anybody on this plan and then they don't know about it. They will be aware. They
Everybody
can
gets
opt
a letter.
in.
Everybody gets a letter.
This program.
They're not automatically going to be entered into it.
They will be. So it's the same program that's been in existence here for the last 6 years. It's the same aggregation program.
Here, I think I can speak to it. So there's two sets of programs. One is an opt-in program, one is an opt-out program. Tinley is set up as an opt-out program, which means everyone in Tinley is in it to begin with, and then if you don't like it, you can opt out. Other communities that do opt-in is Tinley, the village goes out, and people can opt in to the aggregation program. So everyone automatically is in this to begin with, and then you can choose to opt out. because that's the benefit of the
And how do they do that, on internet, or how do you let them know? What is this
Yeah,
card? What is this
they can
about?
send an email, they can call us, and there's a card that they can mail in. So
What if they don't get that and they're in there and they're not happy? Like, a situation has occurred in Orland Park where it was the reverse of opt-in as opposed to opt-out. And the village next door to us, they had a huge problem with this.
We managed the Orland Park program, and there was a miscommunication
Yes.
with the supplier, so they didn't do a very good job, okay? So they're not here at the table. I'll just say that. We have all the full faith and credit that Chuck will do that. But to answer your question, the way the resident is notified is that a letter goes out to every participant in the program. It's on the village letterhead. It's paid for and managed by the supplier. And it informs them, like it has in the last 3 or 4 renewals we've done, what the program terms are. They're free to opt out.
So that's per mail.
Yes, per the mail. We do know.
And they get like how many days typically to?
Oh, you get, it's, I think it's 18 to 20 days to
18
opt
20
out.
days, yeah.
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 And then you get a letter from ComEd after that. If you don't opt out, you get a letter from ComEd saying, by the way, you've been told that you want to switch your account. If that's not correct, you still have another, I think it's 10 days to call the supplier and make sure you're not part of that. So there's 2 bites at the apple for the resident. But by the way, my view is the active shopper, the one who has, is out there aware, educated, and likes to shop for this, they've already gone. That's probably about 15% of the community. So they're out there.
That's as low as that, 15?
Yeah, it's about 15%.
I would have thought it would have been higher.
Yeah, so my view is that most residents are not interested in shopping, don't want to learn how to do all this. And we hear that, a number of residents appreciate that the village is doing that for them, so they don't have to do all that, and they trust the village to do the right thing.
I received 4 water quality notifications from the village in my mailbox alone. I don't think that the rest of my neighbors got theirs today. What happens in a situation like that?
I'm sorry, you received what?
4 pieces of mail from the village of Tinley Park were in my mailbox solely and not in anyone else's.
For what were the mail pieces for?
It was for our village.
Water quality, oh, so they were supposed to go to your neighbors? And they
Yes.
didn't? So it
So
sounds
I'm
like
concerned
it sounds like a
about people
post
not
office
getting-
problem. Okay.
But Cindy, I think what we're talking about
Okay.
is the administration of the program. It sounds like the village set up an ordinance that said,
Yes.
we're going to go out to bid, and if you want to, you could go with our bid, but if you don't want to, you specifically have to opt out.
See, I don't like the opt-out.
Whether they get notice or not, these are the guys talking about the thing that's inside of that. So, however you manage it, this is what will be in it. If we choose to go with ComEd for $775 a kilowatt hour, or this other thing that I really don't understand for sure, that's something that we'd have to decide. So my questions, I guess, are more for Dave. What is the time frame on this? I know you got one company who went out to bid one time? Is there like a time frame? If you don't get it on January 1st, you don't get it?
Well,
or-
there was multiple bids.
Well, I know there were
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
bids,
yeah,
but
yeah.
why don't you bid again in a month and see if we could do better?
Well, our
than
contract
775?
ends, yeah.
To answer your question, we have to do something by the end of July,
We being,
we being
The
the
village.
village and managing this program for you.
and
Rates
if
have
we
been-
don't, what happens?
Then you'll revert to ComEd. at
Which
the-
is lower now anyhow, right?
Correct.
So why would we go through the administrative costs of having to send letters to people that they may not get because 4 of them went in somebody else's mailbox,
Okay.
if we're not gonna save our citizens any money
Okay. So, number one, you're not going to incur any expenses.
for administering the program? We're not gonna have to send out any letters
Correct.
It's their cost.
to
We
give
will,
them the, okay.
so that's done, it's done in your letterhead, but at the supplier's cost.
Okay,
Okay, so there's no direct cost for you. There's Dave's time and his staff's time. And again, why would you do this? Because if we do nothing and we don't find rates that are more attractive than ComEd, then you'll revert everybody back to ComEd at the 14.5% green. So our view is,
when you say 14 and a half, what do you mean? I mean,
So-
I'm just thinking kilowatt hours, 775. I'm looking at it like a usage contract. This is my price per unit.
Right.
What is your price per unit?
It's exactly the same as ComEd.
What's the time frame?
It's for the year, it's for the year starting in October 1.
So it'd be October 1
Yep.
to October 1, 20 or 19?
Yep.
And then next year, theoretically, you go out
If
to
you're
bid
happy,
again.
yeah,
You could
we'll take another look at the.
can do it, you could decide not to do it, and then just tell everybody to go to ComEd. It just, yeah.
So, yeah, so again, the option is, we've seen the market trending up over the last year, so I'm not hopeful that we're gonna see any significant improvement. Your rate, the lowest rate was 8.18 cents. To get that down under 7.75, I don't think we'd like to, those circumstances would be draconian to bring your one-year rate down underneath that. I would suggest that I mean, we can put this decision off until the end of July, and we can keep testing the market, okay?
But I'm still not, so you're saying ComEd's rate is 775. We're just talking rates.
Yeah,
You said the lowest rate that you were bid was
this was, so there's two different.
818?
818, there's two different programs that we're referring to. So the original program that we've been running for the last 6 or 7 years is, I call it aggregation 1.0. That's where we go out to bid, we find a rate that's lower than ComEd. We bring all those bids to you. You all decide how much, which is the best rate. And that's bid with at least about 5 different suppliers. That's the way the program has been running. We went out to bid, recently and came back, and the lowest rate that we found in that model of running was 8.18 cents.
Which is 30 some odd cents higher than ComEd's.
Correct. So,
So what's
if-
going on?
so
How
if-
are you making money?
I'm sorry?
What's going on? How are you making money if you're buying it more expensively and?
So we're not recommending that.
Okay,
We don't think that would help the residents to charge, a third of a cent higher than ComEd for
okay.
the same product. So we're not recommending aggregation 1.0. So normally, in this situation, what we'd be doing is we'd be coming back to you and telling you how we're suspending the program, because we can't beat the ComEd rate.
Okay,
Okay, so that was what we were doing when, Chuck and I have been talking for about a year and a half, and we've finally come up with this, we call it aggregation 2.0. This is a new version of aggregation. And in this aggregation, instead of saving residents money, what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy 100% renewable power for them. The rate will be exactly identical to ComEd. It'll be 7.75.
that's where you lose me. If ComEd sells energy for 775,
Yep.
you buy energy for 818, which is the
No,
lowest
we're
rate
not
you
buying,
get out
we're
there.
not buying, we're not buying energy for 818.
What are you buying?
Is your question, excuse me for cutting you off, is your question, how can we deliver 100% renewable at the ComEd
Well, you
rate?
told me you're going to buy certificates
Yeah.
of renewable energy, which isn't really necessarily mean I'm getting a line from the windmill to your house. It's
That's
like
correct.
I'm buying some made-up thing like absolution from the Christian church in the 1400s. It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean anything, right?
Okay, well, I would beg to differ with you on that front, in that anybody who says they're 100% renewable,
Isn't.
if they don't have the windmill or the solar panels on their roofs, they're doing it through the renewable energy certificates. It's a program set up by the federal government. It's monitored by the federal government. They're regulated, tracked, and when at the end, when the energy is consumed, those are retired and we're done. So it's not a sham. It's the only way that we can do it.
Well,
because-
I'm not saying necessarily it's a sham. What I'm saying is I don't know the details of it. and
I understand.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Right, and so it's similar to if you had 100 gallons of pure spring water. It
Okay.
was just crystal clear. It was distilled water. Couldn't be clear. And you wanted to contribute that into the Tinley Park. You pour that into a water tower, and you can't direct those molecules to your house or anybody else's house. It's just fungible. It's commingled. Same thing with the electrons from the windmills or the solar farms. Once you bring them into the system, you can't direct those to the zip code for Tinley Park. So the only way to, the So they've come up with this system, as the federal government, the Energy Department has come up with a system to say, how can we subsidize, how can end users subsidize that power? And it's done through these renewable energy certificates.
Which someone has to purchase. They're not free, right?
The supplier,
We
the
purchase
supplier will purchase those from this market of folks who own those certificates, who originally got those from the original generators.
And he's also going to buy energy from somebody else to supply to us at the same price as the ComEd.
Yes.
So his cost, I'm assuming if he's paying the same price,
Yeah.
it's $7.75 or plus the cost of the renewable energy credits,
Yep.
plus
That
the
puts
cost of the administration. I just don't, it
Okay.
just doesn't add up to me.
Okay, so let's just assume that you three on the board represent equally Tinley Park. Let's say your residents. Let's say that your average cost is 8 cents. Your average cost is 7.75, and your average cost to serve you is 7. Okay, let's say you each represent 10,000 customers.
And
We're in
that's
the-
based on what my bulk usage is and what the price is at that time.
It's based on the usage parameters for your own individual home, how you consume your power, when you consume your power. We have enough information, suppliers have enough information from ComEd to price out your accounts individually. So again, if you're 7, you're 7.75, and you're 8, what the program would do would say, we have the good user over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to serve the good user. We're going to transfer her account to MC Squared. Okay? And because she's at 7 and the price for all of you, for all of Tinley, is 7.75, we have some margin there. Okay? And we can make some money on that one account. Can't make any money in your account, can't make money in your account. So what we would do is we're going to transfer her, but we're going to leave you two at ComEd. So your accounts are being served by ComEd. Her account is being served by MC Squared. With the margin that we can make on her account, we can buy renewable certificates for all 3 of you, so that all 3 of you, your whole entire community, is 100% renewable, and you all pay the ComEd rate.
That was a good explanation.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So you're pooling it.
So you're saying some customers, there's a margin, you're going to go in and take the good customers, leave ComEd
We're
with
going
the
to cherry
crummy
pick.
customers.
We're going to cherry pick the
And
good ones.
ComEd stuck with the 7.75
Yeah.
rate for all the crummy customers?
Yep, they sure are.
Huh.
Yep.
This is obviously, it's a trick. I mean, the decision in the old days was very simple.
Oh
because
my
you were
gosh,
saving
yeah,
money.
this price is the cheapest,
So,
that's the best.
Yeah.
rate
You
for
know,
the customer.
it's just,
Yep.
I
And
brought
our
this to you
citizens.
only because obviously we're in a, I think a climate nowadays, I think where being pro-green and bringing these type of things to you is something I thought that, you know, we might want to consider. Because I
So-
think some people
Dave,
will look at.
if all things were the
Yeah.
same, I
Yeah.
think everybody in town would probably prefer
Yeah.
to not have pollutants, to use renewable energy
Yeah.
versus fossil fuels.
Yeah.
However, my guess is 95% of the citizens would want the lowest possible rate they could get, whether it came from renewable or not.
So let me ask you this. If I give you 2 choices, both choices pay 7.75. Rate's exactly the same. This has 14% renewable, this has 100% renewable. Which of those 2 would you like?
I'd say go bid it again and see what happens in a month. I mean,
Okay,
I
so
just
so I
don't
push it.
understand how that could be, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
So let me push it. We will rebid it again in a month. But for tonight, what I'd ask is, let's assume that in a month from now, the rates are still higher than the ComEd rate, which I can almost assure you they will be. But we will wait and find that out. We'll wait till the very last moment that we have until we have to start the.
Who else is doing this besides us? You said Clarendon Hills and South Barrington's considering it?
We've talked to the mayor at South Barrington, and she is all for it. She's just going to run it by formal approval. So we're 95% there. I just spoken to 4 other communities about it today. So it's new.
Yeah, that's part of it too. I mean,
Yeah. So, but again, let me just say this: the
it's
choice.
a one-year contract?
Yeah. So what we would do is, if we can't beat that rate, so if we wait for a month from now and we cannot beat that rate, in other words, the rate is still higher than 775, then you're going to roll everybody back to ComEd. You're not going to pay more for your power. You're not going to have an aggregation that pays more for your power, not at 8.2. Okay? So when they go back to ComEd, 775, 14% green. We're saying 775, 100% green. Again, which of those two seems to be the better option for the community?
Okay, appreciate the thing. What are you guys looking for us today, Dave? I don't know. I mean, I like the pitch. There just doesn't make sense to me. There's just, you know what I mean? But I guess arguably there's enough market for low use. What is it, the time of
We
day?
got
that
enough of
makes-
her around to
Yeah, but,
take care of
right,
you
but
guys.
what makes her price lower? The time of day that she uses
Why don't
it,
you
or?
say?
Yeah, it's a function of
I
when
don't
they
have an electric
consume-
car.
Yeah. Some have electric air conditioning, some do not. Some have, some are emptying, some go away for the summer. So it's just people have different load patterns. Some people are working from their home, so they use more energy. Some are gone from.
Just want to interrupt people, there's a tornado warning right now, so they listed Frankfurt as an impact area, but not Tinley Park yet, but just, I'm watching it, so just want to give.
Thanks, Pat. Oh, boy.
Is there a place where
A
we should
warning.
go if there,
This looks
so
pretty
we
good
know?
right
Not a
here.
watch.
No, we'll move out of here, if it
Okay.
comes out, we'll move out of here into the
Okay.
hallway.
So it's just a function of everyone's has a different usage pattern. Some people are stay-at-home moms with kids and families. Some are empty nesters. So you have just different load consumption
Well, it
patterns.
seems like I've noticed that the energy bill goes up, you know, during what month you use and all the rest, but I can't imagine there's enough there to, you know, play the spread to.
Make a
to-
margin that high.
To make a
You'd be
margin that high to
surprised.
cover
You know,
all those
over
other things.
20,000 accounts, there is definitely a differential between the load shape and the load pattern by season, by month, by single family, by multifamily. Some have space heat, some don't have space heat. There's just you know, it's not one size fits all. I mean, I think we think of residential homes as, you know, 2 adults, 2 kids, a dog, and 2,500 square feet is the average, right? You know, 3 or 4 bedrooms, but there's a pretty wide disparity even within single-family homes. So it's just a different load pattern, and by doing the analytics and going through the load shape of every single account, we can figure out which ones are the most advantageous to serve, and then which ones stay at ComEd, and that's the differential. So it's typically around 40 to 60% for the average community, and we've looked at about 2 or 3 dozen, I would say now, communities, and we come up with that range.
Okay. I got a couple other questions, guys. I mean, we're here, we might as well get it. The
We don't want to go
cost,
outside.
We gotta go in the bunker.
or our cost now per citizen, do we know what they're paying, their kilowatt hour rates
The vault.
roughly?
I don't, but I'll have it for you in just a second.
Okay.
It's less than 775.
And that's a fixed rate per year?
Correct.
And this likewise would be
I
a fixed
think,
rate per year?
I
think-
just looked at it.
Okay.
What is
6.9 is what you're paying. That goes through October.
And that'll be every month, summer or winter, it's just a fixed rate?
Whenever we
Per
do,
kilowatt hour.
on the original version we do fixed rates, they don't change whatsoever.
Yeah.
So right now, for the next 4 months, the residents are gonna be thrilled
6.9, yeah.
because the ComEd rate is 770. Well, ComEd rate varies, but it's below the ComEd rate, and so they're saving money through through October.
And if ComEd is stuck at 775 now for the calendar year, whether you opt in tomorrow, next week, next
Well,
year?
they have
I
a
mean, that's
summer, they have a summer, non-summer rate. So there's 4 cycles called summer. That rate, I think, is 735.
Yeah.
The 8 non-summer months is 7.9, and the average is 7.75 between the 4 and the 8, based on the average single-family home. So that's how you come up with the 7.75.
And that's what we'd be buying for if we bought in for
Yeah.
next year? And that would be whether we did it today, next week, next month?
Well,
'Cause
so
that's
it'll
their
start
Starting in
over, it'll
October.
kick in.
October
The
1st.
program runs through October, so we're
Okay.
starting October for the following October.
Okay. When do you have to have an absolute deadline on our decision?
So
It really should be the October, or the July meeting for them. So you
Yeah.
should run a process in the next week or so and
Yeah.
ask all the suppliers to refresh.
Yep.
And then you'll have your answer so
That's
that
correct.
Dave can have it in time for the recommendation for the July meeting.
Yeah.
Well, the last meeting in July.
July 19th.
Yeah, no, they know, it's the July.
Okay.
Yeah, we only have 2 in July, right? Or
No,
No,
just one?
July
Oh,
19 only.
Yeah.
So you really have to make a decision then, because if you wait
That's
till
the
the
17th.
August, it's too late to do
No,
the
it's- yeah, it's-
opt-out, the notification, give all
It
the
takes 2 months
customers.
to put all the paperwork.
So 2 months is turnaround for notifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you did it in July, August, you'd have to send out your stuff. October is when,
It would switch.
Yeah, so the 19th is the last date that we'd have to be able to make a decision.
is there anywhere I could look to see what energy rates are and prices and that kind of stuff?
I can
Just
send that to you
kinda-
tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'd appreciate it. Just kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, these are, we're obligating our citizens to having one particular price for their utilities for a year, and I just want to make sure it's the best
I
available.
understand, just again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse. The
Yeah.
residents are gonna pay $775 next year, period.
Yeah, that's what it
They're
sounds
gonna
like.
pay $775, because if you send them back to ComEd, they're gonna pay $775. If you accept our program, you're gonna pay $775. The only question is how much green do you want in that program? 14.5%, 100%. So
Or
the rate
unless,
is- the rate
unless
is-
one of these other suppliers
I
says,
understand.
hey, we need some business, we need 60,000 customers in the south suburbs
What do you
of
think the
Chicago.
chances are that between now and July 19th, the rate will drop from 8 to under 775? I mean,
Based on the forward market, it hasn't changed since the last time we did it, so highly unlikely.
yeah.
So-
But
Yeah,
all
right.
we will check it on July
Sure.
19th. Absolutely, not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah,
Thanks.
he can survey the suppliers and
Yeah.
we can do it within days. And the residents can always, if they want to do their own thing, they can always do their own thing. So if they want to buy airline miles or get airline miles or whatever
Yeah.
they do on their own, they can do that on their own.
Oh, the opt-out business, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, that's a couple steps, it's a one-year thing, I mean, I don't know that most folks want to do that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you
for
very
coming
much.
in.
Let me ask one more question.
Sure.
And just, if I can, just.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying, if you don't want to go through this process again next year, whatever, just so you know, they would commit to a 2-year term. If you decided you wanted to do this program, and you'd say, let's not switch every year, if you wanted to commit to a 2-year program, that's available as well.
Well, 2-year program, it'd be best on what we think the market's gonna be next year, I mean, if you think it's
Well-
going lower, you want,
Well,
Shorter.
I think what we're learning is the way the new pricing parameters are set. In other words, the way that some of these components are set is unfortunately, the load profile for Tinley is unattractive to suppliers. In other words, I think you're going to be higher than the ComEd rate for a while, for a couple of years at least.
okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish I had better news for you. And so my attitude is, my view, what we're trying to say is, everybody's going to go back to the ComEd rate no matter what happens here.
We're gonna send out an email that tells everybody they only can use air conditioning between
That would be
1 in the
great.
morning and 1:15 in the morning.
That would be nice.
That's what the
Well, you-
Tesla draws,
Just-
draws
and-
its energy
and-
then.
And we'll have your phone number underneath that for
Yeah, we'll do
any
it, yeah.
comments.
We're
It's a smart car.
Dave, so the other question is, I'm thinking, I can anticipate, you guys might get asked about the process. So we went through this process, we rejected bids, and it sounds like you've been working with MC Squared, and I'm not sure if you approach Dave or whatever.
been talking together.
Somebody's gonna ask, how do we know that another company won't do the same 100% renewable deal and maybe get even a better thing? That's, I think, one of the things.
Right.
We'll have to answer that question.
That's okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Part of my question is, what would be better than matching the ComEd rate and getting 100% renewable energy?
Yeah.
Maybe charging 7.72 possibly. But I can tell you the other thing is that we have another supplier who does this, who has approached us, and we run the numbers. The only distinguishing question is what percent, how many residents will they move over? And MC Squared has consistently exceeded that number than the other
Okay.
supplier, number one. Number two, we've known MC Squared for about 9 years. We've run a lot of programs, not just aggregation programs, we do commercial programs. this is new, and I don't want to do it with somebody who's experimenting. And so I have the full faith of MC Squared. The other supplier, I don't have the same level of
Okay.
confidence. They're newer, and I don't know them.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
the type of info.
yeah,
we get.
yeah, no. So yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
So, I mean, here's just, Cindy, Mike, here's what I'd say, because
Yes.
I understand this is new and.
No, I understand your question, yeah.
No, so what we could do, I mean, if you're not ready to make, it sounds like they're gonna bid it out in 2 weeks, okay? We may not, the numbers may still be the same, they may change, but we'll find out. I mean, if you want, we could have another short committee meeting, you know, before the next board meeting, if you wanna wait till then
Sure.
to make a final decision. If we do it like before the board meeting, maybe some of the other trustees can.
This will give me a chance to
Yeah.
kind of do
but-
a little
but
independent research.
What I would say though is just, as I understand it, in order to do that, we would need, and have it ready for the 17th, we would need to work on a draft contract. And again, we could have, you guys could decide that Tuesday, forget it, we're not gonna do this, but is there enough interest that we should at least direct them to kind of develop a draft contract for this? And again, that's not, you're not giving final approval.
I can make it even easier for you.
Okay,
Dave. I
all right.
appreciate what you're trying to
All
do.
right,
You're
okay.
trying to eliminate all the rollbacks if we get a
Yeah,
green
yeah,
light.
yeah.
What I can say is we have developed a standard contract for all these
Okay.
aggregation programs we've since 2011. We are using that same exact model here, and then the red line changes for this program are about a paragraph or two.
Okay.
So, and they'll work with you, if you agree to it, just have your
Yeah.
attorney ready to review that the next day, and they'll work
Okay.
with them. We haven't, so the
Okay.
timing should be okay.
Why
So-
why don't you send me a copy of
Yeah.
that too, so I can kind of glance at it? I mean,
Sure.
for me, the biggest thing is, what's the cost? You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that that's tied up in the
Yeah.
contract too, that it's 772 and can't change. You get what I'm saying?
Well, it'll say that it just
Yeah.
matches whatever ComEd's tariff
Yeah.
rate is, because ComEd's tariff
So it
rate,
will
tariff thing
fluctuate.
kinda
It
threw me
fluctuates
for a loop
every month.
too.
What's that? I'm
The
sorry?
tariff part threw me for a loop. The word tariff just doesn't,
well, so ComEd publishes a rate per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
And it's actually three components. It's the electricity supply, it's the transmission charge, and it's the purchase electricity charge. Okay, and so the combination of those three is the 775 that you're thinking of, okay?
Okay.
But every month, this purchase electricity charge can be positive or negative, okay? And that's just the way their published tariff works with the Illinois Commerce Commission. So whatever that is, we will track that. So we match exactly what somebody otherwise would pay to ComEd if they were on ComEd. And so that's what we say when we mean we're matching the tariff rate. So the contract would say in the pricing section that we will match exactly whatever the ComEd published tariff is for the purchase electricity charge, the transmission charge, and the purchase electricity adjustment. And those are the three components on a customer's supply section of the ComEd bill. The wires charges and the taxes, all that's the same no matter who you buy power from. That would be, we don't touch any part of that.
Now, I'll say it another way. If you live in Tinley and use the exact same amount of kilowatt hours for a month, your bill will be identical to the ComEd rate, to the penny. And we'll show you that. We'll show you the language.
So we'll know, like roughly what date when the new bids, with like 2 weeks, you're thinking? Okay.
Yeah.
So
We'll
you'll
get
be
that
able to
you.
get that information, and I can share it with them in 2
Absolutely.
weeks.
And yeah.
We could tentatively set kind of a committee meeting, like before the next board meeting, and then we can decide.
yeah, it
what
works
we
for
wanna
me.
do.
That's
So,
fine.
okay.
And just
And we'll have to put a placeholder on it for the agenda too, just, so, makes sense, Laura, so, yeah, okay. Okay.
And just so you know,
Yeah.
you can, unfortunately, if your finance committee is on the 17th, no, that's your board meeting.
That's the board meeting.
Okay, and so finance committee would be when?
Well,
Would
we
be a
would
week
meet
before?
right before, so they can make we do that sometimes, where we have committee meetings when there's items.
On the
agenda.
17th?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm not here on the 17th.
so just so you know,
Okay.
I'm
I'll
already
send you.
committed and he's out of town, but we can have
Okay.
we can have somebody here.
Okay.
So just so that the faces maybe look a little different, just so you understand that.
Okay.
Yeah. Busy schedule this time of year, of course.
I-
Thanks
sure.
for coming out, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
Appreciate
you.
your
Appreciate it.
time.
Yeah, thank you.
No lesson in electricity.
Yeah, I mean, you know more than you wanted to know, huh?
I like the airline miles.
Yeah, just like it was the rate you're paying now, that's the only problem. Anyway,
Yeah.
thanks very much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
thanks.
I brought my electric bill too. I know, I can't find it. So kilowatts are.
Well, there you go.
So NIMEC is the person who bids it for us, that's a company,
Yeah,
and they bid it for us in 2011?
They've been bidding, yeah, I think since then. They do a whole bunch of towns. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Is there anybody
They-
else?
They handle, I mean, so basically what they do, you want a company, they not only bid it, but they handle all the paperwork side of it.
Okay.
So, which is really, that's a lot of the work. I did this in Oak Brook once. You need a company like this. It's a mess to, but and essentially, they're getting paid through the supplier. It's not, we're really not paying them. It's all paid.
Well, because apparently there's some margin somewhere. I'm having a hard time understanding how that all works, but.
The margins are in these certificates. I think, as I understand it, I think there's a subsidy, the federal government's.
That's where they make their money.
I mean, I could try to get.
That
more
makes sense now, so
Yeah.
it's
That's why they
not,
want them, because
it's
they get
not
100%.
making money on the differential of what I charge, it's making money on the energy certificate
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
market.
Because the
I
federal
wrote some
government gives
notes.
them a-
I'm gonna
yeah.
try to do some between now and then, get some
Good.
more research to you guys. I'm not an expert on this either.
Not too much, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that it's legitimate and the taxpayers are getting
Yeah.
the best deal. And if we're
Absolutely.
gonna switch them to renewable or whatever, it's a legitimate thing. It's, I know it isn't coming from the windmill, and it's kind of, I don't know.
In Holland.
All right, very good.
Yeah, okay.
well, we have environmental enhancement committee also, do we not, Dave?
What's that?
You have an environmental enhancement committee, do we not?
We do, and
Should
no
we
doubt they would be
run that
happy
past
with it,
them as
but-
well?
Not a bad idea. Yeah, we could have them look at it.
I don't know when
I
their
have to
next
think
meeting,
about-
they're usually on Tuesday evening, aren't they?
Yeah, I have to think about the timing on if they're gonna meet before the 17th.
They meet
Tonight, right?
17th.
Do they really?
No, same night?
I'm not positive on that, but I think.
Well, maybe that might not be a bad idea, then maybe, okay. That's a good idea.
Have they been made aware of this option, or? They
This-
seem like they like
I
that
just became aware of this
renewable energy.
about, so we've gone through this for years and years. And again, it's always been very simple, because it's like, okay, come in, save money.
Low price,
And
buy,
Dave
see
came
ya.
in to my office about 10 days ago and said, this is where we're at, and what do you think of this idea? And I'm like, Well, it's gonna be a little bit harder for the board, because it's not a money savings, but, so, yeah, but we can certainly,
Shoot them an email, get their
yeah,
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good. Let
Right.
the next section is receive comments from the public. Obviously, the Panito and Berg show is like, nobody comes. There's no entertainment value to it, I guess. So let the record reflect there's no public. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. All right.
You said 7:15, we were 4 minutes off.
I hope my.
Yeah, I knew that would be.